All right, welcome back, everyone. And today I want to talk about Father's Day for a minute. So my schedule has been all messed up with filming videos. Normally I have maybe 7, 8, 10 already filmed, already uploaded, scheduled, ready to go. And that's the place I like to be in. However, this year, 2023, I am filming this Saturday night before Father's Day. So I'm behind on my videos, but it gives me a chance to really talk about Father's Day and to say happy Father's Day to all of my friends who are fathers, and to my brother and my brother-in-law and my dad, rest in peace in heaven. So let's start off, and I've done a full video on this Behemoth before, but we'll touch on it for a minute. My dad made this back when he was a kid living on a farm in the Ozark Mountains. Ozark Hills? I don't know. You know what I mean. To be used on the farm as a tool. And you can see it's rough. There's no edge. There's no nothing on this thing. It's just rough. But when he passed away, this was one of the pieces that I got, inherited, if you will. And it's just kind of interesting how, he made a tool because that's what they needed back then. And he carried a knife and things like that, but it was different back then. He was in the Marines in 1945 during World War II. From his Marine Corps picture, he looks like he was maybe 12. But, so this was made I don't know, early 1940s? 80 something years ago, maybe? It's crazy. It's just crazy. But I'm super excited. I'm glad to have this in my collection. So as you put this off to the side, it just made me think about some other fathers in the knife making world. And some of them you're going to recognize here in frame. And let's first talk about Peter Martin. He's a father and knife maker, and he made this beautiful QSB. And his son, Corey Martin, is also a custom knife maker. And I don't even know the name of this one. This was loaned in from my buddy Cliff up in Alaska. And he didn't remember the name. So, and I've got to do full videos on these still. I'm behind, right? Like I mentioned. But here's a father and son team that are both professional knife makers. So I think that's very cool to be able to pass something down from father to son. Now, my two boys, I have two sons. They pretty much didn't want anything to do with anything I was into. Not that they didn't like me or anything like that, but they didn't get into my business and my career line of work or anything. I like to go off-roading. My oldest boy went once or twice with me because I asked, but he didn't really enjoy it. My younger boy did enjoy that, but we didn't really connect and have a big thing about it. So, but then you go over here to Todd Fisher Sr. with the Archangel. Awesome craftsman, awesome fit and finish, awesome quality, and genuinely just one of the good human beings, if that makes sense. I've gotten to know Todd a lot over this last few months. He just made a battle that Frank Fisher, his son, designed starting back in 2013. More on that. But Todd Sr. makes some incredible work. And this was my first intro to the Fisher family in my collection. I had known about the battle for a long time, but this was my first Fisher acquisition. And then you go to TJ Fisher, Todd Jr., oldest child. I believe is the oldest child. There's 4 of them. There's 2 boys and 2 girls. And I've got this Cobra from him. So TJ is a full-time knife maker as well. It's just, Senior has to be very proud, and he is. I've talked to him many times, that not only 1, but 2 of his sons became knife makers. And then you go to Frank, the baby of the group, with the battle. The battle. This is my Grail knife. I've achieved my Grail. Now I've got 4 battles total. I've got a battle group, if you will. So, and I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. I bought my Grail knife and it changed my collecting ever since. And I've owned this for several years now, and I am still changed because of that Grail acquisition. We could talk more about that later. If you've got questions, comment down below, but I don't want to go off on a tangent there. But this happens not only in the knife making world, there's hockey. My oldest son is really into hockey. And because he played hockey from the time he was 16 until now, 33 years old, we as a family got into hockey. And there's some hockey families where 6 brothers all made it into the NHL. The Sutter family, they were the San Jose Sharks. Several of them played for the Sharks. There was a coach, was a brother, and then his younger brothers played on the team. It's interesting how family dynamics sometimes can all travel in a group or get split apart. I didn't join the Marines. None of my family joined the military other than my dad, and then my grandparents and uncles and some cousins and things like that. But none of my dad's children joined the Marines or the military. My dad has a PhD from Berkeley. None of us kids went to college and got degrees. My dad's an Eagle Scout. I think I made it to first class Boy Scouts. So not always are your children going to follow in your footsteps. I'm in the security industry. Neither of my kids are. One's a chef, who's a phenomenal chef, and one does car detailing and vinyl wraps on vehicles. And I think they do window tinting and some stuff too. I'm into cars. I work on cars and stuff. So there's a little bit of that nuance there, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. I wanted to take a few minutes to just talk about fathers and sons, fathers and daughters and things like that. And show off some pretty cool knives, actually. These 3 are mine. These 2 belong to Cliff up in Alaska, and I need to do videos on these still. And I'm way behind on that, Cliff, and I apologize. But I'm sure there are other father and son teams in the knife industry. I'm sure there's some in the pew-pew industry. In all walks of life, there are father-son teams, and I think that's great. But it doesn't have to be. And we still love our kids and are proud of our kids, even when they screw up. So to all of you fathers out there, from one father to another, happy Father's Day. Just love your kids for who they are. Whether they follow in your footsteps or not is really irrelevant. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a fantastic Father's Day.